We're back. So in the previous video, I've told you guys about the Heron Hotel story and what I thought the story is. Now we know why the hotel is unique, why it's there, why we're designing it. I really needed that story, but it also meant that I started thinking too much. And sometimes when you're doing your own stories and your own personal projects, you just go, you think you can do everything. You can design the whole thing. You can, go pick up a camera and make a feature film as well. So I started designing and I was like, okay, let me think about this. So you will see a lot of that kind of like side things that I was thinking about. Which I think it's important to remember that this happens. The final product is never just the final product. There's always so much behind the scenes that everybody does that kind of informs it. And I think social media can give a very skewed view on that. And this is exactly why I kind of wanted to do this video. This one, I thought that was kind of funny. I think it's important to talk about. We're just exploring, and that's what art is about. It's about exploring and then throwing ideas, and then one day one idea just kind of sticks and it's great. So what I started with here, I did a floor plan, which I thought was kind of fun. And here in the back, you see me design a library because I was like, so if the main character were like, well, the grandfather, he collects information on the guests, then he needs to have his little room where he's gonna have this information. So that's why you kind of see an entrance, and that leads into the behind like little room with bookshelves, table, and then I'm like thinking about the hidden corridors. Then underneath the floor could be a whole another level. So you take a little trolley to lay on, and then you would slide beneath the floor to listen closer to the people that were in the room. And this would be everywhere. It's kind of like side corridors, hidden corridors, and they're underneath the floor. That's why the floors would be wooden, so that the sound could be heard. And I designed this, and then I go ahead and I put it in Blender because I'm like, this is fun. I like this. This is exciting. And completely forgetting that this is not the brief, which is fine. Like, I was having fun thinking about the ideas of like, I don't know, I can even designing like the little wheels. But no, guys, I don't know. I, I'm having fun. This is a personal project, so I can't be too mad about this. But it's just a bit funny. But yeah, you have this little trolley, and then that slides. You probably have like little handles on top of underneath the beams, and there a wire, like a rope. They can pull yourself to whatever you need to be inside the room. And yeah, and I go in and I put in 3D the bookshelves and the room and the hidden door in the bookshelves. I'm thinking about the behind the room, the corridors, the hidden corridors that could be, and all that extra, like how it would be underneath the stairs, what is next to that room, which would be probably, because then on one side was the common room and then the other side was the kind of restaurant like room. So they needed probably a kitchen of some sort. So I'm thinking about that and doing a block out of this. And I don't know at what point I realized that, oh, you guys, I go off. Like, I have this plugin, it's like the Sketchpad plugin that you can bring in the free models. It's quite useful for any sort of concept art because you just get the model in and You don't get stuck into modeling or like drawing from scratch the chairs or tables. Like if you need to design it, then fair enough. But a lot of the times you don't. It's just any chair is fine, unless you're really going for like a very specific look. But if this is based in reality, there's no need to go over the top. I mean, if this was a set, they would be going to the big prop warehouses and getting chairs from there. So yeah, it's just to have the idea of the type, right? I really did a lot. I forgot how much. Oh, and then I'm finally starting like, oh, I need to design the hotel, the lobby. So when I did this, I was thinking that I can design all of that. However, that's a lot. Like it's doable, but that's a lot. And I think setting up realistic goals is important, especially if you're doing it for yourself, because there's a big chance that you will not finish it because no one's forcing you to. So there's only you yourself that's going to be working on it, and you need to have that self-discipline. And if you want to go on and do a massive project and you know you can do it, go for it. But a lot of the times, like I don't know what I would done. Like at the end of this project, just designing that lobby took so much time. If I went on to design the back room, the side room, the other side room, the underneath the floors, the corridors, the kitchen, I'll be doing this in like, I don't know, 6 months. Like, come on. Calm down, right? But well. So yeah, just only after spending a few hours or maybe even 2 days, I wasn't working on it like constantly. At this point I still was working on it on and off whenever I felt like it. It's only towards the end when I was like, I need to get this project done. That's where I really put in the actual like hours. But this is where it kind of like starts to be that, because at this point I've realized that I'm spending too much time on the things that don't really matter that much for what I'm aiming for. And so once I had all of this kind of in and checking like the wood and all that, I was like, oh god, like this is getting out of hand. I still need to figure out so many things, and this is exactly what I start doing here, which is I take a screenshot of the front wall, like from the entrance, and I go into Photoshop and I design the front, what the door is gonna look like, what kind of paneling I want, how many panels are they gonna be on the wall. This is all kind of decisions that you have to make, right? Because it's easy to think, oh, it's just gonna be wood paneling, but like, what kind of wood paneling? What profiles is there gonna be? How many panels is there gonna be? Is it gonna be 3? Is it gonna be 4? Is it gonna be squares? Is it gonna be longer? What about the separated profiles that are gonna be between them? What about the profiles at the very bottom of the floor? So I started doing this, and then I realized that I need that centerpiece. So I go on a side quest again, you guys. I'm thinking, this guy, he's gonna have all those secret, and like, you can't enter a room just because you want. There is gonna be a key to those, and this key will be the design that would be repeated everywhere. And at the beginning I was thinking this is going to be an eye, some sort of variation of an eye that would be kind of everywhere watching. I tried to design this key that owner would have, but also probably some of the people that work there. That's very special key. And I was thinking of what kind of design can I have that I can also have on the rail. The main design that I pasted in was the one that I sketched on the iPad, thinking this could be the main piece, because I'm lacking something that makes it unique. And at this point, I don't know that this hotel is called the Heron Hotel. I still didn't get to that, like the connection that I talked about in the last video about the coats of arms. So I'm like thinking about this like round structure, and I'm thinking about the columns, and I'm thinking, well, what kind of language do we want? I was kind of leaning more towards the squares, kind of harsh angles, everything being very symmetrical, and breaking the symmetry and that structure with something quite decorative. But that shape of it was really not working for me. I really didn't like it. You know how those stairs can be sometimes with very detailed woodwork. That's what I was thinking. But that circle was not working for me. So that's why I went back in again to design a little bit more. And then, and that not at this point, I'm like thinking, oh, coats of arms. Let me look at some inspirations. That's why you see those little dudes on the sides, and I'm like, this looks like a frog. Why am I drawing a frog? But then maybe I need to make an eagle. Put it in, and I'm like, this is starts to look like caricature. I was not vibing with this at all. And I'm like trying to save it, but it just doesn't work. I'm like, oh, I've spent so much time on this and it doesn't work. And this ego, out of everything, I'm trying to do UK, not the US, and I'm putting the eagle in there. Like, we're so obviously in the US right now. Like, however, what that did was that I was like, animals. And then I was like, oh. So over the weekend, I went to Hyde Park, and we took some little boats to like paddle around the pond. I think it's pond. And there were some herons there, and they're spectacular. I was like, oh, it's a cool shape, isn't it? Heron is the kind of silent watcher, right? And this played just perfectly into it. And so that's, I had to grind on that idea and just trying to come up with that coat of arms to so that this could inspire the stair. I'm not thinking backwards, I'm thinking like forward. So I'm like, okay, the family would first have the coats of arms. Usually you would have it quite simple because you want to repeat it in different places. So I'm thinking of those two herons, and I'm like, okay, but the eye is quite important. So if they're just looking forward, and you can see that they are facing outwards, but the eyes are looking forward, and it is almost like they're watching you, even though they're not really looking at you, which I thought was really fun. Putting that on that staircase, I was like, oh, this makes no sense. Like, this is starting to look like something that could happen. And then because of how I had those herons, designing the railing, the very decorative railing around it was kind of easy too, because I was like, if I'm an owner of the hotel, I'm like going to some craftsman, and I'm like saying, hey, I need a staircase, wooden thing that's gonna represent my family. And if this is made specifically for them, what are they gonna do? They're gonna look at the herons, and then they're gonna do the environment of the herons, because the design needs to flow, right? So we have the plants and the wings of the heron, draw in a way that's I'm trying to draw in a way that is still in line with this kind of designs, but adding a little bit uniqueness to it. And that's how I came up with the staircase. And I was like, oh my god, that took so much time. So much time. I was all over the place. But at this point, I was like, great, now this is getting somewhere. We have the herons, and so then I know this is probably gonna be, some sort of important deal. Something maybe that's gonna be in the name of the hotel. And I know exactly what the railing is, so I can just go in and do that. And I start to really go into on the detail, and this is this is where I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. I can spend a lot of time in Blender. Like, I get hyper fixated on this. I forget to eat. I forget that I'm alive, and I just do it because I have fun, and I really can get lost in it. But you know, I didn't mind putting in all that detail because easily you could draw that. When you have a lot of symmetrical straight lines, 3D is good at this. So realistically, when I had a lot of wooden panels that are very straight lines everywhere, I kind of want to use the advantage of 3D for that. So this is also the reason why I was kind of trying my best to put those wooden panels everywhere I could, even if they weren't exactly how I wanted. But once I designed it one panel, I could repeat it everywhere else, and it wasn't a problem. It was just a matter of changing maybe the length of it a little, or like fitting it better. And at this point, I'm leaving the railing alone. I knew that this is going to be something that's going to be a pain to do in 3D because this is very custom, very detailed work. And I needed to actually go in and design it even better, like have the actual proper sketch of that. And at this point, when it starts looking like you're getting somewhere, it just feels, at least for me, I'm just like, oh my God, this is getting somewhere. We're like doing something fun. And figuring out the stairs was really fun to me as well. I was like, how would they do it? So what I thought was about those arches, that they would have those arches that are supporting, because I thought the ceiling is gonna be flat, but you're gonna have those arches that are gonna create the frame, or the inside of that frame would be just flat ceiling, which I've seen on some references as well. Like, very important to note, this is all with references and real life photos, and like, you know, just looking at things and getting ideas of how we can solve it. I was not trying to reinvent the wheel. I was trying to design something inspired by other things. And doing this all in 3D also helps to realize how much work that would take for, like, if that was to be done in, let's say, for like animation, right? And someone had to actually model this. You kind of like now know what kind of time goes into this, but you also realize how not detailed your sketch was. That was, you thought was detailed, but it wasn't. And you're realizing, oh, all those little things that you thought you just like put some lines on there, you need to now like figure it out. This whole time I'm trying to reuse as much as I can possibly, so that it doesn't have to be, you know, every single little thing needs to be different, and I'm losing my mind at the end of this. I'm reusing paneling, I'm reusing panels, I'm reusing the profiles that I did. I'm trying to keep it mostly organized. I lost at the end, it always gets messy. I think I really like the staircase. I really like how the panels kind of go up with the handrail, but the top stays flat. I think I've seen it on one of the reference that had a similar way of doing it, which kind of gave an idea of like there's gonna be that cutoff. What I've noticed is in the US, when they had paneling, the paneling would go all the way up and all the way on the ceilings. And in Europe, usually you would have that kind of break of the paneling. So you'd have the ceiling to be wood paneling as well, and then you would have the paneling up to like different lengths, because it could be like half the door, could be a little bit above the door. There will be still that kind of piece of very decorative wallpaper, or like just plain left without, or even sometimes you would have it without, and then ceiling also would be without the wood paneling. So I thought I didn't like this, right? That's not my favorite. However, if I wanted to stay true, not that you wouldn't see whole wood paneling, but I'm just saying, like, for the sake of staying true to what's most common, and also I'm not trying to make you guess. Like, I want the viewer to look at it and be like, oh yeah, first thing that comes to mind, right? And yeah, and at this point, I'm starting to think about furniture. once I did the stairs, I thought it was a pretty good place to start thinking about all the little details that I don't really feel like modeling. So the Sketchfab thing is great because it's a plugin. I will try to link this down below if I remember. You log in, and then it allows you to bring in the assets straight into Blender with just like one click. Which you have to sometimes watch at this, because if you don't look at the poly count, it can bring in like very heavy objects, and if your scene is heavy, it can completely crush it out. I'm really, really grateful for everybody that are putting those objects there for free. This chandelier, absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And at this point, I'm getting ready to like think about lighting, think about what kind of mood I want. I put the very, very basic wood texture on everything. I didn't do much UV unwrapping apart from like maybe like I think just the main parts. So like obviously the floor, and that was quite important to do, and maybe a little bit of on some of the panels, but not a lot. If I can just quickly adjust or paint over something in Photoshop, then I will do it. At this point, I'm like starting to think about the general feel, general vibe of the piece, and what colors, what atmosphere I want. So getting those tests done, even though all the elements aren't finished yet, was really important so that I could pick up the right asset, pick up the right colors for things. And it just kind of helps to have that finished image in your brain before you actually finish it, especially when it comes to light and atmosphere, I think. So this is where I'm going to leave you. So as you can see, I've done most of the modeling. I think I've done most of the modeling because I'm tired of this project at this point. And obviously I didn't, because I omitted a lot of the stuff that I still need to add. It's really stuff like this where you really don't think that it's gonna take so much time. So yeah, in the next video I will show you what I've rendered. Probably there's gonna be a little bit more detailing. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Hopefully you liked it. Bye.